dialogue in a meaningful way, in a helpful way. And that seems small. What difference is that going to make? And yet I think for our own lives, it makes a difference. And for the people who are part of our community, who call us out on things and name things, I just think we've got to begin with compassionate listening and communication. Like if it's not there,
just engaging in some way instead of just saying this is awful.
yeah.
There's so much of this that is surface for people, I think. And like you were saying before, I think a lot of the key to this is education. And we have one side maybe saying that's not acceptable to the black community, and the other side saying this is unacceptable to the black community, how they're reacting. But yeah, that's all true. It's a much more complex situation, otherwise it's something we can't do. It's a pretty strong country in a lot of ways. It's a strong country in a lot of ways. This is complex. So we can all have a conversation, all of us together, both sides understand something a little better as in the experience of people. To your point, you're seeing this same thing that was done in New York. There's a lot of black-owned businesses here that have been trashed, including Al's right here, which is it's not serving any positive purpose other than anger, and I understand that. And I'm not judging it, but I'm just saying, if we all understand a little more deeply, maybe it changes the action in the conversation, which can be, turned into legislation, where we can actually start to do things that on paper change things. And I don't know all the answers to that, but there are answers, and I believe there are people smart enough out here who can work together to come up with them. But we really do need the right leadership to make that happen, and that is not simple. And I'm not criticizing any of the current leadership. It takes an elevated leadership to make this work. Someone needs to step up and really combine conversations into a way that people can understand.
I do, and I appreciate that, and I think everybody's going to feel differently, whether you're engaging this on Facebook, whether you yourself at, whatever time, all of us, we're going to process different things. And again, I say this from a raw place, but I also don't want to get to a place where there's always a danger of false equivalence, right? In many ways. And I was kind of reflecting on even that term, and I get where you're coming from, and you're of course welcome to that, but I don't want to stop us from judging as much as I want to stop us from condemning, which is just an important distinction for me, because I do want to judge this as no, that was wrong, right? It might have been necessary, it might have been a true expression of anger or frustration, but I can also say that's wrong, just as I would want to say to a racist, just because you're angry and you would yell racial epithets, I can't be well, I can't judge that. You were angry. I understand. It's no, I do judge that.
Right.
I don't ultimately condemn you as a human being, because I realize what led you to this. What happened in your life that you're this bigot? What happened to your life that you're the solution is this brick through a window, right? Where do we? And that's where the compassion starts coming. It's not so much in me looking the other way and going, well, I understand. It's more no, help me to understand, because that seems wow, how do we get there, and I think that's when there's some real learning, where for some, yeah, right.
I think we're saying the same thing in a lot of different ways. I mean, I'm not saying not to judge, but I'm saying don't just judge. Understand and educate yourself. What are the layers? To your point, what you're saying, how did they get there? And again, not to make an excuse for this, understand how to move forward with us.
Yeah. I like that. Don't just judge. That's a good one. That's a good way to think about that.
Yeah, and I think for too long we haven't been listening to the long hurt and the anger that is built up, right? We say, well, this way of protesting is wrong, or this way of protesting is wrong, and this way of peaceful protesting is wrong, and as again, from that space of being here yesterday to then still in Wilmington on Adams Street in my home yesterday, and watching the news, anger in the same way, right? Like I haven't experienced that anger in the same way. And so how do we have the conversations before a brick is thrown? Do you really hear that anger? Like how do we make space for that anger? And right now, like I think that is the work of rebuilding, is really having space for that anger in real conversation.
And I think that's absolutely true, especially from a faith perspective of like bridging those gaps of understanding. Because what I find challenging is for someone who either doesn't practice faith or isn't intentionally practicing their faith, there are two worldviews that are just as legitimate. One is like, this is never right, this is never context,
flop out.
this is right. And there's another context that says, actually there are contexts that are and without some kind of standard, without a sense of like taking path and forgiveness, reconciliation, then either worldview is actually legitimate, depending on where you're coming from. And I think that's what's hard, because when you relate it to the personal stuff, like let's say and I know that, oh wait a minute, come on, that's very different. But if you knew somebody in your life, you were in a relationship with somebody in your life that was absolutely toxic, right? Like anytime that they brought up, and they got angry, they were like, you know what, I'm walking away, I'm throwing stuff, I'm pushing you, I'm acting violent. You have every right to go, I'm cutting off this relationship. And for some people, they're in a place where they're like, if your response is toxic, there's never going to be a conversation between you. On the other hand, I think faith is precisely meaningful to me because it speaks into that place, right? Because if we just go, well, all right, let's just cut off every toxic person we ever know, we're never going to go anywhere with that toxicity. I think in some sense that toxicity will grow and bubble, right? And I think that's like the work of faith. But I also want to make that space for people who are like, this is toxic for me, and I cannot engage with toxicity. And I would say, yeah, I can't either, except by faith. Like, I can't except by faith, because in my own strength, like I'd be like, whoa, yeah, I don't engage with the toxic, right? It's not, and every self-help book tells you that, right? It's like, don't engage with toxic, breathe, go for a walk, do yoga, and I'm like, cool, but then what happens to the toxic, right? But that's a faith thing. I can't do that on my own, or by myself, like without a community.
I would argue that one of the biggest problems we have right now really is social media and how easy it is to go right to toxic. When you're having a conversation with somebody and you disagree and you're in them and you can connect with their humanity, it's much more difficult to just roll with toxic the way we seem to do online right now. And not to say that never happens, but it's certainly much less convenient. I think for most people there is a sense of humanity and empathy below it that we're getting away from, and our inability to connect is helping fuel the situations that we're finding right now. I think until we're able to really be physically in front of people we're having conversations with, again, to the extent that we were before, it's going to be difficult to turn this around with any velocity.
Yeah, it was really weird. It was really weird for the first time that we were in a group of people yesterday. Right? To be, and for all of us there.
Right.
The first time that it was around more than 10 people at once.
It's awkward.
It's really awkward, and all of a sudden everybody's like, what is 6 feet? And if you don't have a mask, and luckily in those spaces yesterday, almost everybody was masked, and if they weren't, they were keeping distance. And but still, it's all of a sudden you go from stay-at-home mornings and not talking to anybody in face-to-face to now we're all marching together, and now we're hearing each other's bullhorns and these spaces that are so regular and normal in my life, to then be like, wait, I haven't done this in how many months? And we haven't gathered in this way in how many months?
What's the cost of that?
Yeah. Right?
To me, that's one thing that's really innate in human beings, and for some more than others, but virtual versions of ourselves are not ourselves, and I think there's some damage done by being away from people for months and months in terms of you start to lose something. I can't necessarily necessarily put my finger of it on it so much as, you know, you're talking about it as faith. I'm talking about it as pure humanity, and you know, maybe we're talking about the same thing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like that's always the splitting hair thing for people, right? It's like what connects us, that human connection, that unity. It can just be human connection and unity, or what I think is the Spirit of God connecting us, right?
Yes.
The area where I do go a little, and Chelsea is probably sick of this word, I go mystical, is where I say, you know, for all the education you can do, I mean, I've sat with people, I've sat in counseling sessions with people who are educated, who are successful in many ways in society, who know all the therapeutic language and the psychology 101. They know, yeah, I'm projecting, and whatever, all the pop psychology stuff they know,
Right.
and can still be absolutely toxic. And so for me, it leads me to go like, sometimes there is no amount of education, success, therapy, psychology that amounts to something. It's like, for me, we need something from the outside, which is for me like the faith. It's like something beyond myself, because on my worst days, like I'm not helping, right? And on my best days, I'm helping this much, right? And we could say, well, but millions of that, this much is great, awesome, but still need something from the outside. Because I was on my walk here, I'm processing this both as a human being, this is a person, somebody who lives not far from here, somebody who serves at a church, you know, not far from where all the breaking and looting happened, and also as a pastor who's like trying to understand, trying to have compassion. But there's the Edwin, the inner Edwin, who's like beep 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 beep. I can't beep beep beep, you know, and like that's not Ken censoring that, it's me self-censoring. But I'm like, oh my gosh, this is angering and saddening and heartbreaking and tragic and horrible all around, right? And so I need something beyond myself, or even like however awesome y'all are, even beyond you know. It's like, and that's where that's just, you know, what keeps me going. You know, that I'm like, okay, I'm not facing this alone. This is overwhelming. You know.
And I think like the odd beauty that we get to do this together, right? And for me, it's
So fast.
also processing all of this being really new to Wilmington.
Right.
Right, like I grew up in Newark, and then moved to Detroit, then DC, and now I'm back.
Yeah. You've been here 4 months.
I gotta get moving here.
5 months.
Yeah.
Right?
Thank you.
Like 5 months, and 5 months, and it's and this space is new to me, right? Like I'm learning the stories of all of these businesses, and I'm learning the stories of all of the work that has been going on. So it's also a like how to keep showing up, how to keep having this conversation, doing it in a new space. And I've been like grateful for the Riverfront community that has gathered online these last few months. And yet, I yearn for the day where we are not 6 feet apart and not masked and can really be community together.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just awesome to see a mixture of staff and friends and volunteers showing up to help clean up. That's what we do. Hopefully, by God's grace. All right, so we are wrapping up for now, and we're going to continue to walk and process and pray, and I hope you'll join us in that. That this would be a reflective Sunday, that it would be a grieving Sunday.